Today we have Miki Talebi with us, and Miki is the CEO and the founder of oomé. And oomé is all about smoked tofu. And Miki, you have like a kind of a special story that goes along with the creation of oomé. Can you just tell us about your dad?
Sure. So my father was in the food business and very passionate. We grew up always just loving good food. And in particular, he had a hobby of using his smoker to create these amazing meals that would bring the family together around the dinner table. Unfortunately, in 2020, he sustained a really traumatic accident, which landed himself in the hospital. And it was the pandemic. During that time, we would meal prep for our respective children and then be at the hospital. And it dawned on me that smoked tofu was this incredible protein that was easy, and my children loved it. But for some reason, it was not available during the pandemic. There was supply chain problems or one reason or another. And in a very facetious, sort of haphazard way, I turned to my sister and I said, what if I just use dad's smoker and create smoked tofu, and really never thought anything of that sarcastic, lighthearted comment. But 4 months later, he actually passed away and I ended up inheriting his smoker. And it felt like an opportunity to really honor him, take a chance on myself and do something different, and launch into our company, oomé, which is all about premium smoked tofu. We add value to tofu by marinating it with really clean and simple ingredients. And then we use cherry wood that actually is sourced from my father-in-law's cherry orchard as our smoking wood. And so it really is a family effort, and a family-run business that we're growing here.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
That's got a really kind of heartwarming sort of feel to it. Now you're in the what we call CPG, consumer packaged goods category. And that's kind of a typically hard category to be in because a lot of people develop products, and they kind of get in the store and they don't last. And so you're really starting to grow quite a brand. Tell us about like where are you now, and how did you kind of get started, and how many stores or what stores are you in?
Sure. So in terms of how we got started, I don't have, aside from, watching my father and him wheeling and dealing on the telephone, being an amazing salesperson, I have no CPG background. I have a very academic background, a PhD in social psychology, and I was in public policy. So a real 360 or 180. But you just put one foot in front of the other. First it's tinkering in the kitchen and just coming up with this recipe, and then it's understanding, well, how much is it going to cost, and I need to make a profit. And really surrounding yourself with amazing people that have done a little bit of this before. I happened to participate in a course that really taught me about the margins that you should really expect to protect when you're coming up with your pricing strategy, and understand how to put together a sell sheet and then a website and social media. And these things just slowly come together. So we're just over 2 years old. We launched May 2022. So just over 2 years old. And right now you can find us in Vancouver. We've got some really great presence in Vancouver and very much growing in Ontario. We're in about 250 stores. And counting. We have some really incredible conversations happening, and so hoping to double that store count by the end of the year.
Wow. So that's a lot of so there's a lot of different brand names on the retailers that you're in. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, Whole Foods is our big national account that you can find us in. Here in Vancouver, we're in Safeway and Thrifties, Choices, Nature's Fair, to name a few. In
Yeah.
Ontario, you can find us at, in addition to Whole Foods, Ambrosia, Sweet Potato, Goodness Me, The Big Carrot, and a number of others. Yes.
All the great names. And I see there's somebody in Nova Scotia. Who's that? Where's that?
Our retailer in Nova Scotia, I actually don't
Can't remember.
I don't recall which one that is, but yes, no, there's a couple of pockets of very remote stores
Yeah.
that have been really lovely independent retailers that
Yeah.
and those are the ones that really get you going and support you and rally around you. The first handful of retailers, they were all independents, and they're still with us, and I'm very grateful for that. Mhm.
Now, a big distinguishing kind of feature in your life recently was that you won a competition called the Total Mom. I don't love it. The Total Mom competition, and it was like a really, really big deal. But first of all, tell us about being a mom. Where does the family fit in this? I mean, we know about your dad and your sister now. I guess you have some children.
Yes, yes. So thank you for that, Ellen. So I do. I have two children. My daughter is 7 and my son is turning 10 just in a couple of days. So they're, in a really wonderful sweet spot. But it's a daily challenge. Raising kids in and of itself is incredibly challenging. Obviously, it's rewarding too. But then striking that balance between a startup and really trying to grow and nurture this business, this CPG business, which, as you say, is not easy at all, and be present for my kids. That's a constant challenge, and I think you just take it one day at a time, and really understanding. We actually just came back from a vacation, which was very difficult to do, but really understanding that that's also very important to create those meaningful moments. And I have to remind myself that it's about the quality of time and not the quantity of time, because a lot of time goes into the business as well. And that's just a matter of fact. If I'm choosing to grow this business, I also have to invest a lot of time into it as well. Yeah.
And so at the competition, this was actually a pitch competition. So
Yes.
everybody on our blog site would understand what the pitch is. And so you're pitching oomé
Yes.
during this competition, and the people that you're pitching against are pitching their products and services.
Yes.
And how many people entered this competition? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I know it's in the hundreds. We didn't get an exact number, but there was three sort of selection phases to the competition. So, everybody fills out an application and you apply, and that was hundreds of people across the country, and not just CPG, anything. You had to be a mom and you have to be, an entrepreneur. That was really the prerequisite. And then it narrows down, and the top 100 then have to submit a 2-minute pitch. And so that goes in, and then there's another sort of selection criteria, and then they announce the top 5 candidates, and those top 5 candidates are invited to go to Toronto to pitch live at the Canadian Women Entrepreneur Gala. And so I had the privilege to go amongst, hundreds of women and a couple of men that attended the gala. And it's all the way at the end of the night, so there's definitely some build up
Yeah.
leading up to that. But yes, amongst 4 other women, you pitch, and I presented the business, what we're all about, what our values are, what our product is, some exciting things that are happening in the future, to really just give a really wonderful landscape of what oomé is. And then there are some judges that will adjudicate right there. And then they announced the winner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds pretty um anxiety producing.
Yes.
When you talk about, like, the number of people who are in the room, right? And everybody's and you're not up against other food products. You could be up against some life-saving drug or some,
Absolutely. There was
some prosthetic device or something that, people are naturally going to gravitate to. So, wow, that's really great. I hear you rented a dress to go
I
to this
did.
event.
I've never been to a gala, Ellen. So this was an entirely new experience. And they make you just feel amazing. They did hair and makeup, and it was a whole thing, a whole production, and just an amazing experience. And more than anything, the motivation was really just to push the brand out there and continue to build it and promote it. And so the opportunity to network amongst other really powerful people in the industry, that was just an amazing experience too.
Oh, wow. That does sound like an experience. And what were the prizes?
Yes, so the total sum amounts to $50,000 in supports and services and mentorship, A portion of that was a cash prize, which is, you know, in this industry, it just costs so much to run the business. So all of it is just so well received, and I'm, yeah, really grateful for it.
Oh, wow. That sounds really exciting.
Yes.
Um, I remember you telling me one time that you like to go into the grocery stores where your product was being, sold. And, I don't know, the deli or the grocery or whatever area it is, and you like to go in and, look at your product, look at the other products, look at the expiry dates, talk to the grocery manager, find out whatever you could. You just like tell us a little bit about that practice. Like, where do you do this?
Of course. You know, when you're first launching a business, you don't have all of those marketing dollars to spend and promote and put yourself 50% or whatever on promotion. So really, I would say the asset that you can bring to the table is building those relationships at the store level and really just getting to know who the managers are, understanding your category, going in, doing those store visits, checking to make sure that, you know, the product that's going to expire first is in the front of the placement and not all the way at the back, and understanding who the competition is, and just really getting a lay of the land, and also getting into the stores and doing lots of in-store demonstrations. um, Not only just to interact with your consumer and understand, are they liking the product, what can I improve upon, what other flavors are they looking for in the future, what their experience is, how they feel about the price point, but just to let the store know that you're here to support your product and you're going to do whatever you can to really lift it and promote it, and create that accessibility for consumers to start to get to know what this is all about. So
Mhm.
I've done many, many demos and lots of store visits to introduce myself and try to build those relationships.
You've added just a whole new, kind of layer of understanding and importance to those events, those tastings inside. Because, of course, when you're doing them yourself, the amount of discovery that you're
Yes.
able to capture from the people who stop and chat and have a bite and talk to you, and then you are kind of informed, asking them questions and so on.
That's right. And the staff, you know, they'll stop by and they're really curious. They're like, I've seen this on the shelf. I know it's new, you know, tell me about it. So you get an opportunity also just to really connect with the team members and let them try it if they're allowed to try it. There are different rules at different stores, but it's really just a good opportunity to get in on the ground level and introduce the product.
Right. Now, tell me, in all of this, we met through Investor Q&A.
Yes.
How did Investor Q&A shape any of the work that you did subsequent to, our meeting together?
I think that it was instrumental. I mean, a really lovely shiny example is just the Total Mom pitch that happened recently. But Investor Q&A, I love the platform and the opportunity to not only, you know, practice your pitch in a really succinct way because it evaluates all of the keywords that you use, but the questions that come firing at you afterwards, and really being able to be strategic about the vocabulary that you choose to use to create a more successful response and to navigate and shift the conversation in a way that you can control the direction that it goes in. That was invaluable. I think it was just really wonderful practice to be able to do that. And I created a strong routine around it. You know, every morning it was get up, move my body a little bit, and then open up the laptop, practice my pitch, do a few questions, and just like get into that. And so I invested in Investor Ready Q&A quite a bit, to really get as much as I could out of it.
Yeah, that is a good way of describing it. You invested in it to get that out of it. Now, did you have a coffee at that time of the morning when you you got
No,
started?
that's when the house is totally asleep and I get my, you know, 45 minutes before I'm interrupted, and like the race to school starts.
Great. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that little kind of moment of your morning with us. We really appreciate that. Mickey, we're so excited about the success that you're having, and we hope to see you have like a lot more success because it's clear that you really are interested in investing in yourself and in your family and in what you're doing. And I've always heard it said, it's like just one step in front of the other. Every day there's always another challenge. Just keep moving in that direction, and then and it continues to work. Thanks very much for being here with us today, everybody. This is Miki Talebi, and she's the CEO and the founder of oomé, and that is a smoked tofu brand that is started sweeping across the country now. It's very heavily laden in the West, and it's working its way to the East. And oomé is spelled oomé, right? That's the
Perfect.
E with the accent on it. So if you go looking for her online, that's where you're going to find her. That's her sign in behind her, oomé. Thanks, Miki.
Thank you so much, Ellen. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
good.